All right, CNT125, we are working on our wireless LAN lab. So I've gone into our D2L page, I've downloaded our lab directions, and I have those all ready to go right here. I've also downloaded our packet tracer file. I have that loaded and ready to go here. So you should have a file that looks something like that. So let's take a look. Let me pull up our lab here. All right, real quickly, perspective on this lab. At no other time in this semester do we have a good chance to do a wireless lab, so I'm kind of combining two things at once here. We're going to do some routing stuff that's kind of unique that we have not, we've maybe done a little bit before, and we're going to combine it with doing some wireless LAN configuration using a wireless LAN controller. So we're combining two things into this lab, things that we would not normally do elsewhere in this semester. So let's take a look. First part of lab, we need to do a little lab prep. So we're going to look at our map and do some subnetting for the VLANs that are going to be in this map. So let's take a peek. Here is our network. Actually, I'll do it over here. Here's our network here. We have the ISP on this side. We're going to be configuring this here and then adding in our wireless controller and lightweight access points and our wireless devices to connect to the wireless network. So that's what we're going to be configuring. And to do that, we are going to need at least three new VLANs. So one subnet for our existing VLAN 1, subnet for VLAN 10 for the PCs, if you will, a subnet for VLAN 20 for the voice or IP phones, and then a subnet or VLAN 30 for our wireless VLAN, our wireless users. So I've taken a few minutes and I've gotten my game plan together. I've borrowed 3 bits with my 192.168. So I have the 0 subnet over here, 32 subnet here for VLAN 10, 64 subnet here for VLAN 20, and my 96 subnet over here for VLAN 30. And I quick figured out what I'm using for IPs. There's my sub interface address for VLAN 1, 0.1. And my switch will be in the same VLAN, so 0.2. For my VLAN 10 PC VLAN, I'm using the 32 subnet, so this will be 32.1 for the sub interface, network 32.0, default router of 32.1 for my DHCP scope. For VLAN 20 voice VLAN, 64.1 will be the sub interface, 64.0 network, 64.1 for default gateway. And then for my 30 VLAN, I'm going to use the 96.1 for the sub interface, 96.0 for the network, 96.1 for the default gateway. So I've taken a few minutes, gotten my game plan together, made my marks on here. And actually for the wireless VLAN, I almost forgot over here, my controller is going to get 96.2. And my laptop that I'm going to use for configuring the controller will be 96.3. So I put a couple of those key numbers down here that I'll need. So I've taken a few minutes and gotten that game plan together. You're welcome to use my IP scheme if you want. Just make sure you understood how I got it. Again, this is something you'll need to do at the end of the semester for lab final on your own. So make sure you're understanding how these numbers were derived. Again, you're welcome to use mine. What I did when I was done here is I did a quick screen picture of it, and I have it here as a little reference map, and I'm actually just sliding this on my second monitor for easy reference as I'm doing the whole lab, so I have all my numbers at my fingertips when I'm configuring everything. So there's my game plan for my IP scheme for my VLANs, for my network. So now that I have that, I can start looking at what I'm going to configure. So we will need to configure the switch here for my VLANs to connect to my router. Then I will need to connect my router or configure my router with the necessary sub interfaces, eventually our NAT, our DHCP for all of this. We are not going to do phone config on this one. We've done that before. We're going to skip that for now, and we're just going to focus on the new IP or the wireless piece over here. Alrighty, so there's my game plan and my planning for what I'm going to do. I'll come back in the next podcast and do the switch configuration.